Tottenham Hotspur 2, Manchester United 2. Another dropped 2 points for Manchester United. We had the match in our hand. We slipped away again, but we saved the point. We managed to save a point at the end. I guess it's not the worst, but it's not the best. It was another test. I think we didn't pass it again, or, it's basically the same as last week. It's the same as last week. We had the match. I don't think Tottenham were very good. We settled our nerves in the second half. We had more control of the game. We didn't do enough in attack to, give us a cushion that we needed. We needed another goal at the minimum. We needed to go kill off the game. We only had the one shot on target, which was the one goal. So a little bit of clinicalness there, but not enough at creating forward. We're going to do live player ratings. We're going to dissect the match. We're going to talk about it more, but it just the game was in our hands. I know we managed to save a point. I know we managed to stay 5 unbeaten, but we should have won that game. We should have won that game because Tottenham weren't great. We were away from home. I think we did decently good enough to, especially to the time that we had the lead. We should have went on to go and see that off. Unfortunate, Sesko got injured. We had to go down to 10 men. It went from sort of good to okay to bad to worse, and then back to okay again. So we'll get into the match. Smash the like button. Make sure you get that done because it's important to the channel. So get that done. Hit the like button, people. Get in the comments. Give me your thoughts. Give me your opinions. But I mean, listen, let's start from the beginning. I think, the first start of the match, we were a bit slow out of the gates. 20 minutes, we didn't look that great, but we grew into the game. We got a foothold in the match, and we managed to score. And it was a good play, good cross from Ahmad. I thought he had a good game, and Buemo had a good game. I think he was the best player on the pitch. Good header. And I think we did okay in the first half. Second half, we came out. We struggled a little bit, but we did all right because we held our own. We managed not to concede up until later on. But I'm talking about in the initial 10, 15, 20 minutes of the first half. We needed to step up more, but we had the lead. We had the lead, so it was okay. It was okay until Matthijs de Ligt got spun. He can never get spun there. Never get spun there. I thought he had a good game up until that moment. He switched off for a minute, and it cost us. And then to concede the second, I couldn't believe it because I felt like see the match through. I wanted more goals. We needed more goals. But if we were going to do a 1-0, we're going to do a 1-0 and the streak and not beating Tottenham in 7 matches. And they scored on us again. It was almost like a repeat of the Nottingham Forest match. And exactly that's what it went because we ended up scoring a goal from Matthijs de Ligt from a corner header, and it was a good header, and he sort of redeemed himself in that moment, I guess I would say, for letting up the goal and getting beaten in an area that I don't think you can get beaten. You should never get beaten, not like that, but you know what? He put the ball into the back of the net. He saved us a point. We go into the international break, 5 unbeaten. We're in 7th. But it's still two points dropped. We did not seize the opportunity today. We did not capitalize. I did not think that Tottenham were that good. And considering the fact that we do struggle away from home, I thought, leading 1-0, controlling basically, the match in terms of I didn't really feel threatened for Tottenham for large parts of the game. But it was those little moments we slipped up once again. So, Axe is here. Ray is here. I can't see the top comments, so let me go in here. Axe says, look, I've had enough of this manager. He has to go. I mean, we literally stolen a point today, approximately the same as last week. They can't get a grasp of the midfield. They can't control the game. We had 1-0 and drew back in defensive mode. We can't win like that. They can't control the games. I don't know what they are playing. I don't know. I don't know that they were playing away. Or I don't care that they were playing away. Stop playing Bruno so deep. He had 5 defenders and conceded 2 goals. Ray says lazy second half. Captaincy out of Bruno. Axe says we definitely ought to have won that game, but with Amorim's stupid tactics, they can't win anything, can't control any damn game. Ray says our players think 1-0, we won the game. Amorim has to go, and I'm glad we won at Anfield, but one important victory is that we can't keep a manager in the boot. We are world class, and we need to reach our level. He is literally our worst. I disagree wholly on everything you're saying, but fair play. It looks like the players settled down for 1-0. They think they had the game, and they got lazy. And Axe says we ought to have been 5 victories in a row. Think about the disgusting hairy boy. We are being humiliated. I totally disagree. Again, you are absolutely, totally, in the way you say things, you are totally off the mark in terms of we are not world class. I don't know where you've been living for the past 10 years. We are not world class. We have been shit for very long. You know, we were world class 15, 20 years ago. We're not world class. We are not world class. So everything you're saying is totally wrong. I completely 100% disagree. Now, I will say that we didn't do enough. We needed to do more. This isn't a good result because I felt like we should have won the game. I don't know if I necessarily agree with some of the... It's not the tactics, the substitutions. I felt like Casemiro was doing a very important job in that midfield. I felt like him coming out did us a disservice. Bruno Fernandes today had a horrible game. He was the worst player on the pitch today. He absolutely was. He did nothing right. Absolutely nothing right today. Nothing. Ruben Amorim is not going to get sacked. So, you know, if you want to go talk to a wall and keep saying Amorim sacked, go ahead. I don't really care about that. We're not going to talk about that. He's not going to get sacked. We're 5 unbeaten. It's not a great result because we should have won the game and we feel like we should have won. And I think we did enough to win the game. I don't blame the manager in terms of tactics. I think the setup was fine. We had the lead. We needed to do more on the pitch in terms of creativity. But I think the players needed to take more of an onus on themselves and do a little bit more. We had some situations where we could have gotten another goal. Bruno totally fucked it up. Sesko fucked it up. So that's not on the manager and that's not on the tactics. We had 2 good opportunities to put two goals into the net, and it should have happened. And they didn't take the chances. So again, I go to the players. I think Amorim set us up in a way that we could have won the match. Because we did well. We did well enough to do that. And, you know, Ray says that he thinks like, you know, it looks like the players settled down for 1-0. I don't know if I don't think that they settled down for 1-0. I think they tried to control the match. But again, they needed to do more going forward. They needed to do more. But they also needed to take the chance. I mean, the chance that Bruno had, you have to score that. You have to score that. The opportunity that Sesko had, you have to score that. They can't be... Those can't be non-goals. They can't be non-shots. If we score one of them, the game is different. Also, a bit unfortunate, not that it has too much of an impact, but it does have an impact. The fact that Sesko, you know, had to go off injured, and now he's injured. That's something that we're going to have to deal with. I don't know what kind of injury he has. I don't even know how he got injured in that manner. So, because nothing really happened. So that's a bit concerning because I think he's going to be out for probably a while. So, yeah. Ray says Bruno is not captain material, throwing his hands up all the time, and he's playing like shit. Well, maybe so, but I don't think that change is going to happen. Now, I mean, interestingly enough, just on the point of Bruno Fernandes, I mean, before the match, Ruben Amorim came out with a comment and said that he has to prepare Bruno, or Bruno has to prepare in his mind that next season that he is going to be part of the rotation. So a little bit of a warning shot, I guess, for the future, if he ends up even staying. But I think that's the plan. I mean, he's kind of said that out there that next season he may be rotated out of there, and it's probably because it's gonna be the additions of the two new midfielders. So can't blame Delo today. I mean, there's nothing to blame Delo on. I thoroughly, it's on the players. Because I again, I don't disagree with. I was a bit surprised by the lineup, but the way the game unfolded, we were 1-0 up, and it was about 70 minutes in. So I think we did good enough and got far enough with the tactics. Again, I think the Casemiro substitution hurt us because I don't think Ugarte had a great impact and wasn't doing the job that Cass did. I think Uncle Cass was very important because he was the one that was winning the ball because Bruno Fernandes was non-existent today. I mean, listen, defense is not his first thing anyway, but he didn't help us in any way. He was terrible. He was absolutely terrible today. He had to score that goal. He didn't score. I don't know how you don't score. He didn't even hit the target, and Sesko didn't get a shot off when he had to. So for me, it has nothing to do with the tactics. I don't see it. I don't, because we had the game in our hand. We had the game in our hand. I thought some of the substitutions, like Dorgu, I probably agreed with coming off, even though I thought he had a good game, and defensively he had a good game. I think still putting the ball into the box, decision making with the crosses and stuff like that, still not good enough. Has to be better. But I thought he had a better game than he's been playing. I thought he had a good game, but on the yellow card, I think he had to come off in that situation because, you know what, against Brendan Johnson, who is quite a quick player and a difficult player to defend against, I thought he did well. I thought Maguire did okay, but he had to come off injured. Ligt, I thought, was doing good up until he got spun, but he redeemed himself. Yoro, I think, did good when he came in. I think Mount had an impact. Cunha was a bit quiet today. So I will do the player ratings, and I'll probably just jump into them. Gray says this manager is terrible. He clearly has favorites and can't just take Bruno off. Who would you like him to take Bruno off for? To do the job that Bruno is supposed to be doing? Is he going to throw in Jack Fletcher in that situation? You can argue that, but I think that's a hell of a gamble. Now, if Kobe Mainoo was on the bench today and he didn't sub him off, I'd give him pelters for it. But in the situation that we find ourselves in, I think the only thing that he could have done is gone more defensive by leaving Casemiro on and putting Ugarte in Bruno's spot. I don't know if that works. Maybe you could have argued that he put Mount there, but clearly he sees Mount more as a 10 and not in that position that Bruno is playing. And nobody sees Bruno playing in that position anyway, but this is what he's gone with. And I don't know, he won't be rotated. Well, he said that. That's what he said. So we will find out next season. It's his statement. Ruben Amorim said it. While you wait for next season, just doing this season, rotate him out. Stop. Please explain to me, who do we rotate him out? I would love to know. I'm not defending. He had a shit performance today. He should be subbed off. Who do you sub him off for? Please give me the answer of who you sub him off for and how it works and how that works into the team. Please, because there's no solutions being offered. It's just criticism and there's no solutions. There's no answer to the midfield at the current moment in time, especially today because Kobe Mainoo wasn't in the team. So what are you going to do? You're going to put on Jack Fletcher, who has literally zero experience in a match that we were up 1-0. We need to hold the lead. He is our captain. We need him to perform. He didn't perform, but there's nobody to put in. You're not going to put in Jack Fletcher for Bruno Fernandes. That's asinine. If you think that works, I think you've lost your mind. I'm sorry, but that's just, you're living in a fantasy land to put on Jack Fletcher in that situation. because if he puts it on and we lose that match, he's going to get pelters for it. So today he was in a losing situation. There's just nothing that he could have probably done in that situation for that specific area to help him out. He's in a lose-lose situation. But the only thing we can do is fix that midfield, but we can't right now because there's not really a solution for it unless you throw Kobe Mainu in. But it's not going to happen. It's just not going to happen. I mean, if Kobe was on the bench today, I would have expected him to come and get subbed in because he had to get subbed in. But I think Kobe is probably the only one you can sub in, and he's not there. I don't think you sub Jack Fletcher in that situation. I don't. Maybe you take the risk. Maybe he says he should have some balls and put in Jack Fletcher anyway. Fuck it. But I think as a manager trying to manage the game and manage the situation, I don't think that's a favorable gamble to take. I think you got to try and rely on your experienced player who is your captain and is supposed to be the leader of the team. But he had a horrible game. Horrible game. So in any other circumstances, if we had somebody that could probably fill that position, then you put him in. But listen, I mean, for what that position is supposed to do, that specific role that Bruno is in, it's supposed to link the defense and the attack. Ugarte can't do that shit. He can't. He cannot do that. He has no progression of the ball at all. He cannot link the play. So you put him on, we would have went super defensive. We would have lost the link. I mean, not that Bruno was doing much, but you know how I see it. 4 points dropped, not 2 points. One in the last 2 games. But it is 4 points dropped. It is. But it's 2 points today, 2 points last time. I think in both matches, we did enough. And we had slip-ups in a few moments in the match. Like small moments, small amount of time in the match. And it cost us the match. So, I'm not happy. Like, I'm the slightest bit happy because we saved the point because we were going to lose that match I couldn't believe that we were going to lose that match after the way it went because I'm sitting there thinking, you know what? It wasn't the prettiest, it wasn't the greatest, but we're going to get away with not get away, but we're going to get a 1-0 win away from home and end this streak, and we'll take 3 points and we'll go into the international break. We'll be second temporarily. And then just like that, in a flip of a light switch, it's happened again. So we've talked about this. We're not perfect. We're a work in progress. We didn't lose 3-0. We didn't get completely outplayed. But we need better and we need to grow. And this is why I totally agree. Coming in, talking about the manager needs to be sacked because we drew a match and we're 5 unbeaten. Where were you talking about the manager needs to be sacked when we won the 3 games? Where were you? I'm not having it. I'm not having it. It's completely asinine. It's complete bullshit. Talking about the manager needs to be sacked. Complete bullshit. Not having it today because I'm thoroughly pissed with the team because we should have won that match. So I'm not fucking around today. And I'm sorry if I'm in a quite aggressive tone, but I just it's just I don't know. We should have gotten over the line. We should have gotten over the line. Now, let me get to the player ratings. Let me try and calm down a little bit and let me get to the players. And then we'll get to the manager, and then we'll talk about whatever we need to talk about. I got them written here. That's why I'm looking down. So I wrote these at halftime, and I'm going to adjust them as I go along. But Lemons, I will give a 7 because he made 2 very big, important saves. And you can't blame him for any of the goals, of the 2 goals that were scored. There's nothing that he could do. So we conceded 2. It's got nothing to do with him. I think he played a part in saving our ass in those periods that we slipped up, the moments that we slipped up. So I will give Lemons a 7. Maz, I gave him a 6.5, but maybe a 6, a 6.5, something like that. I mean, he was off after 60 minutes. He looked tired. You could see the lack of, sort of match sharpness. He needed more. Or not he needed more. He needed to give more, but he ran out of gas, so he had to come off. He had to come off. Ligt, I will give a 7 to Ligt. I was gonna lower it, but the fact that he redeemed himself, I think he redeemed his score. So I think for fair play, because I gave him a 7, I thought he had a good game. But him getting beat the way he got beat, you can never get beat like that. I was highly disappointed in that. He's been one of our best players this season. He was very good in the game, but you can't get beat like that in the box. He was slow to react. He switched off for a second. He could have easily stopped that. And you know what? I'm going to add a little bit of blame into that goal for Luke Shaw, because Luke Shaw was behind him. And I thought Luke Shaw had a good game as well. But Luke Shaw was behind him. And Luke Shaw did not step up and cover him. I thought Luke Shaw probably had to step to the ball there. But most of the fault is on Ligt in that situation, because he was the one that got spun. He was the one that reacted late. That was his man. And we suffered a goal because of that. And that was completely... That goal was avoidable, 110%. This is what we talked about before. These goals that we are conceding, they need to stop. They are avoidable. That situation was totally avoidable. He switched off, and it was a goal. Maguire, I give him a 6.5. Shaw, 6.5. And Dorgu, 6.5 as well. Cass, I actually gave Cass a 7, because I think Cass was the only one that was saving us in the midfield. And today, he had to do it alone, because he had absolutely zero help from Bruno Fernandes. And he was the only one getting the ball back, getting a foot on the ball, making tackles, pressing, making himself a presence in that midfield. So I think the fact that he had to do that all by himself, and he's Uncle Cass, I will give him a 7 today. And I think that was probably the one mistake. Now, I don't know if he did it because Cass can't play 90 minutes. I don't know. But I think in terms of decisions, I think that was the one big mistake that Ruben Amorim made today, was take off Casemiro, because Ugarte did not have the impact that we needed Ugarte to have. He did not get in the ball. He did not get on the ball. He did not make himself a presence, not in the way that Casemiro made. You know, when you come on for a player, when you make a substitute, I always look at the substitute, regardless of how many minutes they get. It could be 30 minutes, it could be 20, it could be 10. What are you doing more than the person that you just came on for in that position? And Ugarte didn't do more. He did less. So I think that was the one that hurt us greatly. Bruno, for me, 4.5. He was the worst player on the pitch today. Hugely disappointing performance by the captain, by Bruno Fernandes, and his standards of when he is in form and he is actually doing good things on the pitch. You know what? I probably have to lower it to a 4. I'm going to be quite honest, because I just can't get that goal out of my mind. I can't. Not the goal, the non-goal, the goal that he should have scored. I can't get it out of my head. The Bruno Fernandes that I know, he scores that. If he didn't score it, and it had an impact on the game, because it kept it at 1-0, it kept it close, it gave Spurs hope. We could have put it further away, and maybe we could have used that goal, because you could always argue if the match went the same way, well, we would have won it 3-2. So it was a horrible performance. It was almost like a repeat of the Europa League final. I mean, Bruno playing in that spot in both of those matches, and both of those matches he had one of the shittest games I've ever seen him have. So we don't really have an answer for that. People will shout and scream Manu, and I think that's probably the only plausible thing we have. But today we didn't have the answer for it, because he wasn't available. So there wasn't really anything that we could do about that. In terms of, the only thing that comes to mind is a realistic option is you put Ugarte in there, or maybe you put Mount and take Bruno out. If you want somebody to try and do that job that is entrusted with Bruno, with linking the defense and the attack and making progressive passes, maybe you put Mason Mount there. Maybe he should have put Mason Mount there. And because Bruno had to come off. Yeah, he should have came off, but the options are slim in that situation. I don't think you put Jack Fletcher on there. Jack Fletcher is only in the team to replace Mano, to hold the spot, and probably to keep that streak that we have of having an academy graduate or an academy player in the match squad. I mean, Ruben talked about it quite a lot, and that's kind of what it really felt about. I don't think, when I read that, and just feeling that Jack Fletcher wouldn't be called up to the team if this situation didn't arise, it just felt like Jack Fletcher was never going to play anyway. So, Ahmad, I give him a 7. Got the assist. Great cross. I think he had a good game. Went to right wing back. I think he did a job there again, and played well. So yeah, 7. And Buemo, 7.5 for me. He was our best player on the pitch. He scored the goal. He was brilliant today. He was the only one that was making things happen on a constant basis. Mateus Cunha, give him a 6. He was quiet, average, and didn't do enough. In terms of, if you compare him to Mbeumo, he didn't do enough. But he was fairly quiet. I thought he was fairly average. I don't think he was horrible, but he was just very quiet today. Sesko, I'm going to have to give him, it's a bit of a rough one, because he came on in 60 minutes. He didn't even play the full match. He went off injured, but I can't give him a 6 because he had to score. He's a bit too slow. And I will say this, I'm going to continue to support him, but he clearly needs to improve in being quicker in certain aspects with the ball in his feet. Decision making, he needs to be quicker. He needs to think quicker. He needs to act quicker. He's not quick enough for the Prem. This is the problem that we have getting players outside of the Premier League. He's a young guy coming from the Bundesliga. It's a different pace. It's a different type of game. He is struggling at the moment because he is not making the decisions quick enough. He is not reacting quick enough. That goal, if he reacted, that opportunity, not even that goal, I keep saying that, but that's because they should have been goals. Those opportunities, that opportunity he had should have been a goal. Should have been at least a shot, at least an actual shot. I mean, but he took too long. There was the other situation where he was put in through on goal. It was 1-on-1 on the defender. He wasn't quick enough. He didn't move quick enough. So, he's going to need more time. This was always my worry. This is why I kind of wanted a second striker, and I wanted Rasmus to say, just in case of these situations, Sesko is struggling a little bit. He needs time to, get better and conform to the Premier League and build his game up a little bit to the Prem. Now he's gone off injured, and I think he's going to be out for a while because he went straight down the tunnel and nothing happened. I mean, I don't know how he actually got injured. I don't. It seems like he's hurt his knee. I don't know what's happened. But we got to see. I think Mason Mount, I will give Mason Mount a 6.5 because I think Mason Mount, like I just stated, came in for Cunha and he did better than Cunha in the short amount of time that he was on the pitch. So, and he looked like, he could do something there. And he had an impact on the game. He got into the game. Lenny Yoro, I'd probably give him a 6.5. He did good coming in as well. Delo, same. He wasn't on for so long, but he did what he needed to do. He did nothing bad. So, yeah, I mean, it just slipped away from us. So, how about Ugarte? How about Casemiro, Ugarte, Mount? I mean, you could do that. It is an argument. I just the thing is, I just don't know if it works. It might work. We might be better off for it. It could be a solution. But when you the problem that I have with it is that those besides Mount, I think Mount is probably the one that's closest to what he's asking Bruno to do in that position. I think he's probably the closest one. In fact, maybe just because Mount is decently good at pressing, and even if you see his defensive actions, if you see Mount's defensive actions, even when he's playing in the 10, I think he's probably better than Bruno at those things. So I think the strongest argument you can make is Mount should have came on for Bruno, and Bruno should have got off, and maybe you put Xerxes in as the 10. And that probably could have helped us in that way. But you don't, listen, how are you going to know that Sesko's going to go off injured? You don't. You don't expect that to happen. We made all the subs. Maguire had to come off. That was probably an extra sub in that in itself. So there's nothing you could do about it. It was just the shit luck of the game. It's the shit luck of the game. Grace has given us her own player ratings, which I will get to in a second. But Ray was asking for Casemiro, Garte, get Mount in there, keep Cunha in the game. He could have done that. To be fair. And you know what? Maybe he should have probably done that, because I just don't know. If you go defensive in that area, I don't know how good it works. But again, we don't know certain things. Like, I find it strange that he took off Cass. It seems like there was a fitness thing. I don't see why you take off Casemiro other than he's getting tired and his legs are going, and you have to take him off because he can't keep up with the pace of the game. Because I don't think he played bad. As far as I know, Cass didn't have a yellow card, so what's the reason to take him off other than he's losing energy, he's getting tired, and he's not keeping up with the pace of the game. But I would have tried to keep him in there a little bit longer. And I probably would have gambled it. I would have taken the, let's put it this way. I will criticize Amorim for the fact that I think he took the wrong gamble, in that I would have gambled with Casemiro staying on instead of gambling with Bruno Fernandes staying on. I think that's a fair criticism to make. So, Lucky says we needed to go for a second goal. We did. We needed to go for a second goal. I said it in the Discord when I was chatting with the people in the Discord, because we were in there. And I said it at halftime. I said it was okay. A little bit slow out of the gate. It was okay. We're doing okay, but first 10 minutes we're gonna need to hold off. We're gonna need to do, our thing. And we need to go get a second goal. Funnily enough, though, we did get a second goal, but it was just in the wrong order, I would say. We needed a second goal when we were 1-0 up, not when we were 2-1 down. We got it at the wrong period of the game. Lucky says Mason Mount rather gone in for Bruno Fernandes' position. Yeah, I think that's a valid argument that you can make wholeheartedly. For real. I think that probably logically, if you think about it, that's probably the move that you can make if you're at a lack of options, which we were. So I think he does deserve blame for that today. I think he does. He deserves blame for that today, because Bruno Fernandes should have came out. And I think he probably got that assessment wrong, in the fact that, to put... now sitting here thinking about it and calm down a bit, it does make more sense if you keep Cunha on, because again, Cunha wasn't that bad. He was average. He was quiet today. He was, but he wasn't bad. And if you're talking about players that deserve to come off, Bruno Fernandes is the only one on the pitch that 110% deserve to come off. So I think he got that wrong. 100%. He got that wrong. I don't know, if that impact or that change would have necessarily changed the game, because in the way we conceded the goals, but maybe we could have scored out of it. Because obviously Bruno was a problem in the fact that we rely on him to help with the attack, and he wasn't much help with the attack. And if you bring on Mount for him and you keep Cunha in there, and you keep Mbeumo up there, then maybe we would have scored and maybe we would have got something out of it. But yeah, Yeah, Sesko unfortunately injured. That's a bad one. Lucky says Mason Mount goes Cunha position if needs rest, but we need to go second goal. Yeah. Grace has given us her player rating. She said Lemon 7, Dorgu is 6, Shaw is 6, Maguire is 6, Delit an 8. Man of the match. You think so? Well, I wouldn't be against that. Mazzawari is 6, Bruno a 5, Casemiro is 6, Ahmad a 7, Buemo is 6. How do you give him Buemo a 6? Cunha a 5, Sesko a 4, Yoro a 5, Ugarte a 4, Mount a 6, and Delo a 5. Is your average a 5 or is your average a 6, Grace? I disagree with the Mboma one totally. I think Lemon's good enough, and the Dorgu, Shaw, Maguire, Delit, and Mazzawari ones. I won't disagree with them. I think they're fairly close to what I gave, and Bruno, I would go deeper because I thought he was horrible, and he missed that goal, and he has to score that, in my opinion. He has to do better in that situation. And Cass and Ahmad. Average 6 for starters, 5 average for subs. Okay, thank you for clarifying, so that we understand. Yeah, fair enough. Fair enough. I think we're pretty close to each other in that thing. Ugarte a 4. Did I give Ugarte a rating? I'd probably give him a 5. My average is obviously 6. I just go average 6 across the board. So, yeah, I think in terms of what I look for, you're coming on for somebody, and I'm one of those people. I don't care how many minutes you're getting, unless it's like 2 minutes. I mean, really, what are you going to do? But even so, I would say you need to fight. But just Ugarte coming on, he did not do what Casemiro did. And we lost the presence in that midfield. So I think in those terms, it wasn't the setup in terms of how we set up the match. I think Ruben probably got it wrong on the substitutions. So again, people say tactics. Tactics is such a broad term. I think the way in which we were set up to play and played the match, which is the tactical aspect of it, I thought wasn't bad at all. It was good enough to give us a 1-0 lead, and we were in the lead for most of the match. And after that second half period where we got a little bit of bombardment from Spurs, which you expect always because they're home and they got to go for a goal. They want to try and win the match. I think it was a bit shaky, but we came out through that period and we were still in the lead. So it was good enough. It was good enough. But I think he fucked it up with the substitutions. I think he fucked it up a bit with the substitutions. I think he got those calls wrong today. So you could jot that down, and you say if you think that had that big of an impact that led to us conceding the 2 goals and going down and ultimately getting a point instead of 3, then I can't really argue with you on that because it's your opinion. But I don't know. We just didn't do enough. We needed to do more. Disappointed wholeheartedly with that because I really felt like we were in the position to go and get the 3 points. We just needed to get another goal, and we didn't get the goal. And at the time that we needed to go and get the goal. Grace says Ahmad was better than Mbeumo. That's why Mbeumo gets a 6. I thought he dropped off in the second half. Well, I think a lot of the team probably dropped off in the second half for a good period, but I think Mbeumo still played a very good game. Even in that last bit when he sent whoever that was through that was out on the wing, I mean, that pass was really good. He seemed like the only one that was really on top of it. And the reason why I give him a 7.5 is because he scored the goal. He put us in the lead. 1 shot, 1 goal. And I just thought that he was the one that was sort of making things happen in the attack. We didn't make a lot of things happen, but there wasn't a lot going on up there. I thought he was involved in a lot of it, and Ahmad. I thought those two were the only ones that kind of were making things happen in that circumstance. Cunha didn't really get too involved in that area, and Bruno was really a letdown in that situation. So, because he didn't help us out at all. If manager Silly got it wrong. Wanted to get Mason Mount for Cunha. Yeah, I think I think he went for that call. I don't think he assessed it quite well. I think he went for that because obviously he views Mount as a 10, and we needed to get another goal, and Cunha was a bit quiet, and Mount obviously has different characteristics than Mateus Cunha. He plays a different style, a different type of game. So I think he made that I think he made that substitution for that specific reason, but he then completely overshadowed or overlooked or ignored the fact that Bruno Fernandes was having such a shit game, and his game was more shit than Cunha. So, if you're looking at it in that aspect, you would say, well, Cunha didn't really deserve to go off the pitch ahead of Bruno. But the fact that, you could even go as far as to take Bruno out of that spot, put Bruno in the 10 where Cunha was, if you really wanted to do it, and put Mount where Bruno was playing, because just Bruno in that position was just shit. And this is the problem that we have, is that we know that Bruno playing there, sometimes it's okay, and once in a while it's good, and it works. But it's so far inconsistent. We can't count on it. It's not consistent enough. He's not consistently good enough in that position. It doesn't consistently work well enough. It's always hot and cold. And you could probably argue more times it's not good than it is good. So I think there's a higher percentage of it not playing well, or that dynamic not good enough. And that is the big issue, because we can play a few matches and we can get some wins and we can do good enough, but it's not good enough to consistently do it week in, week out. There's going to be games like today where he was just awful and it wasn't good. And we suffered because of it, unfortunately. So Footyverse69 said, I don't know what happened to us in the last 15 minutes. We have now grown a bad habit of conceding 2 goals in the span of 5 minutes. Well, I think it's a little bit of a team, Footyverse. And yeah, let me know more of how you're feeling and stuff like that. But I think it's I think it's a little bit of a theme from last season. I think it's a little bit of a theme in this team that's been around for a while. Now, I think it's happening, like you said, in sort of a different way, in that now it's happening in, 2 goals in the span of 5 minutes sort of thing. But I don't think it's really all that different from what this team was doing in different periods. Last season, I can remember there's so many times where the match was 0-0 or 0-0, and we're doing okay. We weren't horrible. We weren't great. The opposition wasn't great, but they also weren't horrible. And then we end up giving up these goals that we've been giving up, in the last, specifically more so in the last 2 matches that we've done in these periods. But now, it's something that we need to wrinkle out. Again, listen, we're 5 unbeaten. We probably should have. I think many of us feel like we should have 5 wins in a row. But the reason why you can't jump off the deep end and go to the extreme is because we know we're not perfect. We know we're in a work in progress. We know we have a lot of things to still fix. We suffered a lot last season. We suffered a little bit in this season. I think we done okay to be where we are coming off of the back end of last season and having the hardest opening fixtures out of every Premier League team this season, 11 games in. I think we're doing all right. We need to do better. We need to improve. There's things that we need to sort out in our game. I'm going to be looking for them to sort this out. This is one of them. This is one of the things that we need to sort out. They have to be given the opportunity to sort it out. They're not the worst results in the world. I think the last 2 matches, we probably would have ended up losing both of them, and we wouldn't have gotten a point each out of it. But we obviously want more. It's not good enough for our standards and what we want. But that doesn't mean throw everything out the window, because that's preposterous. It's not going to happen, and you're just talking about La La Land, and you're making shit up in your head. It's not going to happen. Be realistic. The manager's not going to get sacked because of this shit. And it's not the worst. It's not the worst. Yeah, we're not happy. Yeah, it's not necessarily good enough, but it could be worse. We could have walked away with losses. We could have been on a 2-game losing streak right now instead of a 5-game unbeaten. So it's not the worst situation. It's not the best situation. Again, we're kind of borderline. But that's still a chance to fight. There's still a chance to improve. It's not like everything is totally lost. It's not like everything is gone to complete shit. So, that's why you need a captain like Roy Keane. I don't think they make those anymore. I'm going to be quite honest. But I get the sentiment, Ray. I get the sentiment. I don't know if they really make them like that. I don't think we really have that. But yeah, I mean, for the future purpose, that's going to be it's got to be sorted out. I don't know. I don't know. Today, I mean, listen, today, and again, I've defended Bruno a lot of times, and just because he's played like shit today, I won't take back the statement that I think he's been our best post-Fergie signing. He's definitely been our most impactful, but today, he thoroughly pissed me off. Again, I'm not one that gets too bothered by him being emotional in terms of throwing the hands up at periods of time, but he did it again, and he did it a few times, and that sort of shit I will not stand for. He had the ball. He went to go kick it out to Mazawari or Ahmad, whoever was out there on the right-hand side. He fucked up the pass. It was his fault in that specific moment. He fucked up the pass. He kicked it out of bounds. He thought that they were going to run forward, but there's no need because your teammate is wide open and is standing in space. You pass the ball to him. Now, you don't pass it into the space when you're passing it straight across. There's no need for it. So he fucked up the pass, and then he started blaming whoever it was, whether it was Ahmad or Mazawari. I can't remember. That thoroughly pissed me off because you can't have that. I mean, it's one thing if you're the captain, you need to boss people around, you need to demand them to do better in certain things, and they're not doing it. And maybe you're having a shit game, but your job as a captain is still to command your teammates and push them and shit like that. So that's why if they fuck up, even if he's having a bad game, they fuck up and he's yelling at them and he's throwing up his hands in the air and he's demanding more from them. I don't really have a problem with that because it's part of his job, whether he's having a good game or not. Yeah, he has to step his game up. But in that sort of situation, you can't be doing that. You can't be doing that. Where is the responsibility on your end? You are the captain. Where is the responsibility on your end? You fucked that up. There's no way you should be yelling and screaming at your teammate and blaming your teammate for the shitty ball and the shitty decision that you made to kick it there and it go out of bounds. Was not his teammate's fault in any circumstance. So that's the shit that I won't stand for. That's the shit that I find that is not acceptable at all, especially from the captain. Can't be doing that. And, he's done that from time to time. He doesn't always do it, but he's done it from time to time. He's done it today. He did it last time. He did it for Euro against Manchester City. It's that to me is completely unacceptable. Completely unacceptable. And for that moment in that instance, he should be ashamed of himself, but he should also be ashamed of himself for the performance he had today. So, next game as manager, we're work in progress or play what we got to do. Well, listen, we again, I think United fans need to remember that we are a work in progress. I don't understand how people expect us to be so perfect when we have been nowhere near perfect, and we've been way super below our normal, which hasn't even been good enough over the last 12 years, but the past 2 seasons. And this season, we are still in the mix, and we are still fighting at this current moment in time. So, we need to sort things out. We need to get better. We need to improve. We need to make the push for the improvement. But it's gonna be a tough uphill battle. I can't see how long we've been live for, so 49 minutes. Okay. Um, Lucky says we will address some things that wasn't correct. Well, they need to address them. But it's not about addressing them. It's about finding the solution. People, please make sure you smash the like button. It is important. If you haven't hit the like button, please get that done. Because we need to run the likes up. So please hit the like button while you're here. And thank you. But I forgot. Oh, I was gonna get into the here. I'm gonna get into some of the comments after the match as well. I gotta get to Ruben and post match thoughts. But Footyverse says last game in this game, we drew them from winning positions. These draws now feel like a defeat. I understand that. We are a work in progress team, but drawing matches from winning positions is actually heartbreaking. No, I mean, listen, it's tough. It's tough. It's why I'm angry. It's why I'm angry. It's why probably you guys are angry as well. And not happy because again, I think, listen, it wasn't pretty. It wasn't the greatest display, but I really did feel like that we did enough to go, that we should have sought out, especially to the time that we got to in the match, that we were up 1-0 to see that match out. And it was the same against Nottingham Forest. To tie these matches, to draw these matches when we were in a winning position and we let the winning position go and go into a losing position it's a shit feeling because we had the opportunity, and we talk a lot about on this channel about opportunities and seizing the moment and capitalizing on chances. And the past two games, we didn't do it. You know, if we won both those matches, do you know how good we would be looking in the table right now? But this is what this season is going to entail. I mean, I think we have improved bounds and leaps from last season. I think last season was just an utter disaster across the board from everybody. I think this season we're doing better. And the points in the table, when you compare us from this season to last season, after the amount of matches we played, we are doing better. But this is what we talk about. It's going to be a little bit of a roller coaster. There's no way that you can expect this team to all of a sudden just start flying high and being an absolute killer and machine. We have to work towards that. We need to make progress towards that, and we need to improve as the season goes on. But if you think that if you think there's some sort of light switch that's going to flip and all of a sudden we're going to be banging in 3 goals a game and getting a bunch of clean sheets and going on, 8-game winning streaks, it's not going to happen. It's not going to happen this season. Not right now, not in this period. Maybe later down the line if we sort ourselves out and find our feet. But, Ray says, for me, a draw is a loss. I mean, that's how it feels. That's how it feels because we were winning the match. It's not like we were losing the match and we had to come back, even though we ended up in a position that we were losing the match and we had to come back. But the point is, in both matches, we took the lead. We took the onus. We scored the first goal, which is what I've been asking this team to do for, which is something that we have improved on because we were not doing these things before. We were not taking the lead first. We were not scoring first. We were not capitalizing on the opportunities that we were creating, the chances that we were creating to put the ball in the back of the net. We are doing that much. Now we need to sort out the other half. Now we need to sort out this thing that we haven't really been able to sort out yet. I think we've slightly improved on it, but it's still too big of a problem, and it needs to be dealt with. And our manager talked about it in the pre-match press conference a day or two ago and said the goals need to stop. These goals need to stop. We have to do better to stop them. And, they are avoidable. Again, these goals are completely avoidable. It's not like we were so totally outclassed that there was nothing you could do on those goals. Ligt had to do better on that. That goal should never happen. I was really disappointed in him because he's been such a good player and he's been doing so well and he did really well in the game. And for him to switch off just in that 10 seconds, it cost us. It massively cost us. But to be a little bit fair to him, the attack had to do more as well because Bruno had to score that goal and Sesko had to score that goal. That would have made a world of difference. Today we didn't today we didn't cover our teammates for their lack of execution because, you know, if Bruno scores that goal or Sesko scores that goal or both of them scores that goal, if the Ligt has that slip up, it's no big deal. It's no big deal because we gave ourselves enough of a cushion and our teammates compensated for his slip up. But no, our team didn't compensate for anybody's sort of slip up. De Ligt sort of compensated for himself with the goal, but you know, Axe says Amorim has to go. He can't inspire the players. They behave immature. We need to reach our world class level. Well, I disagree. Again, you talk about he can't inspire the players. I mean, I don't really understand what you're trying to get at. They need to be inspired themselves. I'm pretty sure he does exactly what he needs to do. You talk about the manager not inspiring players. I mean, but you never said that about Erik ten Hag, and I could literally say the same thing for him. You just hate this guy. That's all it is. You have a bias towards him. It's fine, but I just won't accept. I just won't come to agree with what you say. So, Lucky says I'm with the manager. We're going to look, take, build on it. I'm here for the long term ride. You know, I am no fool in that the fact that no matter who is here, it's not going to be a fix in 1 to 2 years. There's just no possible way. So you can literally ask for anybody you want. Not going to happen. It's total fantasy. We've been 12 years off the mark. If you don't understand by now the length of time that it's going to take and the amount of work that it's going to take to fix this team, then you probably just won't ever get it. So, Ray says our team can't take opportunities to push up the table. Well, that is the big that is the big problem. Our teams can't take opportunities to push up the table for 75 minutes. Second place at the end of the day. At the end of the day, we didn't go nowhere. Yeah, that unfortunately that's where we find ourselves in. And again, this is why I stress talking about taking the opportunities and seizing the moments. And we did it for 3 matches, but the last 2 matches we did not. So we've gone a little bit backwards in that sense. It's not totally backwards. I wouldn't say we've taken 2 steps back. I would probably say on a fair, level-headed assessment, it's probably 1 step back because, again, I feel like, and I think most of you agree, barring your criticisms of whatever you have, I think we mostly all feel, regardless, we had the opportunities to go and win both those matches that we obviously did not win. So, yeah, I mean, the way I see it, Ray, and the way I look at that is it's just something that we need to work on. I don't think it's the end of the world. I think it's something that we've been struggling for quite some time. It's something that we need to find a solution to. It's something that we need to work towards. But the reason why I look at that, Ray, and I say that, I know it's a problem, and I know we need to sort it out, and you're absolutely correct. I 110% totally agree with that. It's just that that's been a problem with us, with our team, regardless of the manager. I mean, it was here before Ruben. It was here before Ten Hag. It's been around for quite some time. So we need to get that aspect fixed. I think it's going to take time. I will give them the opportunity to try and do it because I understand that's what's going to come entail with the season. That's one of their tasks. And if we're going to go anywhere and if we're going to do anything, then that's an issue and a problem that they're going to have to sort out. Now, I feel like probably the main argument that people will make is that you have to fix the midfield to sort that out. And if he's not going to change the midfield, he's probably not going to be able to do it. But the goal that we conceded came from the Ligt, and maybe a little bit of Luke Shaw. And the second goal, I think, is just a general team defending. We needed to do better as a whole. on that one, and we didn't. So, but yeah, let me go to the manager. Let me go to the post match comments because I'd like to see what the manager, his thoughts and his reaction to the match. I'm sure he's probably going to say something similar to what we've been saying, most of us anyway. Get me the comments. If you have any other thoughts or comments, get them in. I will read them. Doesn't matter if we disagree or not, but just you can put them in. While I pull these up, this is always a pain in the ass because there's just so many. So Ligt has had some things to say. Ligt talking after the match. Ligt said, I think we deserved a little bit more. A draw is better than losing. I mean, he said, I'm really proud of the team for how we fought back. I mean, what else is he going to say? But he also went on to say, last season we lost against Forest and Spurs 1-0, but last week and today we have shown that we have a fight in our belly. It's better to draw than to lose. Yeah, I mean, I get what he's trying to say, but again, I don't really agree with that assessment because both those matches, he's not totally wrong. I think most of the United fans would say if you compare it to last season, I mean, we lost both these matches in the manner that we gave up the goals and we gave up the lead. I don't even think we had the lead in those matches. So, it's a different circumstance. We had the lead in both matches. We gave up the lead. And we saw many times last season when we give up the lead, we wouldn't even fight back to win most of the time. So I get what he's trying to point out. He's trying to stay positive, but the bigger issue is that the fact that we should have, could have won both those matches. We didn't do enough. We let it slip away, and we ended up with 2 points instead of 6 points. And this was a 6-pointer today as well. So you could even add in more points because we were tied on points with Tottenham. And we were two spots under them. So, Sky has reported that United is the first team to open the scoring, then go behind before avoiding defeat in 2 consecutive Premier League matches since Manchester City in May/August in 2012. So, I mean, if you're going to try and take a positive, some of it, or you want to focus on the positive, I mean, that is a bit of a positive. I mean, at least we did have the fight back in both matches. At least we somehow, ended up getting the point and getting a goal. The Ligt said Tottenham's first goal was a little bit lucky. I blocked the ball and it went in. It's a difficult situation. I'm a little bit upset about it. Well, the Ligt, listen, it was a bit fortunate with the deflection because I actually think that shot that he took, I think Lemons probably would have ended up saving that because I don't even think he put it in a place, like, I don't even think it was initially a good shot. I don't think it was going in the corner anywhere. It took the deflection off of the Ligt's toe and went into the corner. So in that aspect, it was a bit unlucky, but where I will disagree with the Ligt is that you switched off for that moment in time. You allowed him to spin you. You were too slow to react. I think he knows that, and I think they'll make a point of that. But, yeah, I would hit back on that. I don't think... I think the only sense in that it was a bit lucky is that it took the deflection and went into the corner, but I don't even think... If he reacted faster, if he was switched on and didn't switch off in that moment, he would have been able to block the ball more. The reason why it hit off his toe was because he was late. He was late in the whole play. So, yeah. But now to the manager, real quick. Amorim, he said, we thought we had 3 points within reach, but then, with everything that happened, Harry Maguire and Casemiro having to come off, and the 2 goals conceded, we scored again, and we got a point. So, a little bit of a explanation there. I mean, Maguire obviously had the hamstring injury problem, so he had to come off. But clearly, he just told us that Casemiro had to come off. So there was clearly something with Cass as well. So, we had to do what we had to do. Amorim says, when you can't win, you must not lose. And that's once again what we've done. We still have a lot to learn as a team because we should have won this match. And I guess the first part of that comment is probably up to debate because I think people like me, Ray, and whoever else agrees with us. We feel like the draws are losses. So it's kind of a contradiction to what he's saying. You know, when you can't win, you must not lose. And even himself, I mean, he said, you know, we should have won this match. I think he kind of saved that quote with saying we should have won this match because, you know, we should have. And the draw feels like a loss. It does. So he was asked about Benjamin Sesko's injury. He said we must wait, which I knew was going to be the response because obviously it's not up to him to know, and they need to do an evaluation. It's up to the medical team, and we won't find out those things until a couple days from now. So he also said we didn't put the same intensity into our pressing, and if we had shown more courage, we would have killed the game. But that happens sometimes. He also then went on to say talked about Sonny Lemons. He said he's doing very well. He understands that a lot of things can happen during a match and that every ball is a new match that begins. I agree. I think Sonny, I think Lemons did very well today. He had 2 very big saves, very, very huge saves. And I think he played a pivotal role in, well, number one, keep giving us the lead. And I would have liked to say getting us the 3 points and giving us the win, but getting us the draw at this point. He kept us in the game as well, so he had a big part to play in. Thomas Frank had this to say about us. Manchester United has clearly improved this season. The players seem more synchronized. They are more dangerous in the attack. And Buemo has said, as I said, if we don't win, don't lose. It builds confidence. When we don't lose, we're going to try and build on this for as long as possible. So sort of the same message as the manager, which I assume the group is that's sort of the mentality or the messaging that they've been given. And Buemo also said, I take a lot of pleasure at United. It's a wonderful place to play football and to develop. I have very good teammates. Everyone works hard, which makes everyone's work easier. I don't know what they asked him, but Ruben also said, we're making progress, but we still have a lot to learn. Managing to overcome all that, the concessions and goals scored. To score a goal is a good thing. If we look at the rest of the match, we should have done better and been more aggressive. The 3 points were there. The spaces too. I think we were too comfortable when anything can happen. You know what? To be fair, that goes back to a little bit of what Ray said in the beginning, that the players were, too comfortable. But this is why, again, I don't go at the manager because I know he understands this. I know he doesn't want us to do that. So that's why it goes to the players. They have to fucking implement it. They have to implement it. Again, if you're the manager, you are sending this message, you are working on this during the week. I know that's what he's doing. It's up to the players to go on the pitch and implement it. That's it. End of discussion. Like, I know what he wants. I know what he's asking for. I know he doesn't want to see us be so relaxed at 1-0 when, like he says, literally anything can happen and that we need to go do more. I know that's what he wants. It's quite obvious. I mean, but again, the players are the ones that are on the pitch. They have to hold responsibility. They're the ones that make things happen on the pitch. So, I don't think they executed it quite well today. And this is why we ended up with a draw, and not a win. Amorim said Benjamin Sesko felt pain in his knee. Yeah, I know it was his knee. Amorim on the Ligt, he's doing very well. He is very aggressive. He defends well. I think he has more quality with the ball than what he shows because he doesn't want to make a mistake with the ball, and he does it very well. I think he does too, because I think he's actually I think he's that kind of guy that he actually can do pretty good in terms of progressing the ball and being on the ball and sort of making things happen. I'm happy that he scored the goal. I know he can do that. I've been asking or I've been wanting for more of that. He has a very good header. He tends to score. He's done this throughout his career, scoring goals from corners with his head. saved us a point today. It saved the Ruben in a certain sense. And hopefully we could just get more of that because in different circumstance, I think, if we're in a match, we could always use a goal from a corner. Amorim on Cisco says, I'm more worried about the injury than about a lack of confidence because we need Ben to be a better team. Well, yeah, I mean, that's going to be a problem now. So this is why I always said that I felt like we needed 2 strikers. But you know what? Maybe for a Xerxes or for a Menu, maybe this opens up a bit of an opportunity to play. Because I don't think, I mean, listen, we have 2 weeks now. It's international break, but that injury to the knee, and as far as I could see, nothing actually really happened. Those ones are always really bad. So I hope he'll be all right, and that when we come back for Everton after the international break, he'll be good to go. But I have a fear that he might be out and he won't be back in time. And if he's not back in time, it might open up an opportunity for Xerxes or Menu, because if there's no Sesko, he's going to have to do what he did today, which is line up with, Cunha, Embuemo, and probably Mount instead of Diallo. Although he might put Diallo there because Diallo did well there as well. Up to him. But then he also spoke on now. He was asked about the possibility of strengthening the team in January. He said, first, we need to see what happens with Ben. We're going to have a problem, like I just said, with the departure of Ahmad and Mbuemo to AFCON, but we already knew that. We can't anticipate it. We can anticipate it in the summer before the start of the season. But you end up with a bunch of players who aren't going to play because there's only 1 match per week. It's a tough situation to manage, but let's see if we can improve the team when the transfer window opens. So I think he's trying to make a bit of a plea there to get somebody in a little bit. And again, I'm not too concerned that Sesko is struggling. I'm not too concerned about it because I think it was probably always going to happen. Again, young guy from the Bundesliga. He does need to do better. He does need to improve. I know what he's capable of. I know he's got a shot. I know he can score goals. He needs to. He just needs to build his reaction. He needs to stop overthinking so much. He's overthinking. Maybe it's because of he's at a lack of confidence, but he just needs to be a bit quicker. I think if he's a bit quicker in his decision making and he's a bit more confident, I think he'll be totally fine, because totally fine means he'll be putting the ball into the back of the net. So, yeah. You're just spitting absence. Absolutely nothing. I'm not even gonna bother. Yeah. So anyway, we're done for today. Thank you everybody for getting involved in the live discussion and the live chat. Thank you to the people that have silently supported us, not getting involved, but watching. I know you guys are there and have been there. Thank you to everybody that has smashed the like button. If you didn't hit the like button, just make sure you get that done, because it is important. We will be going live. I'm not dodging. I'm purposely ignoring because you are not saying anything of substance worth talking back. So, you're literally spewing BS. That's what you're doing. That's why I'm not. I have not acknowledged any of it because you're spewing total BS. I'm not going to repeat it, and there's nothing to talk back to about. So, but anyway, thank you to everybody. Appreciate it. Wish we could have gotten the 3 points and gone off on a better note into the international break. I'm I don't think I was thinking about doing a double today and doing a show later on at 3 o'clock. Might be a possibility. Keep an eye out for that because we'll probably get some news and some other stuff. It is quite early. And you know, there's some hours in between, so maybe we'll do a double. Considering that I'm not going to be streaming, we won't go live tomorrow, and you know, we'll probably look to get back on Monday. So, if you want, you know, pull up to the stream. I got to see if I can do it though. It's not that I don't want to do it. I would actually like to do a second show at around 8 p.m. British Standard Time to just, you know, have a period to digest it a little bit more and talk about whatever news comes out. But I might have some things to take care of. So, you know, Richard said not a great performance. I still think Ruben is not our man. I mean, that's fine if you don't think he's our man. You don't have to. It wasn't the worst performance. It wasn't. You know, I think we did okay to have considering the facts of that we hadn't beaten Tottenham in 7 matches in a row. You know, we were away from home. Taking into consideration we struggle away from home. Our form away from home isn't the best, and we were up 1-0 at Spurs Stadium for about 70-something minutes, whatever it was. I thought it was good enough to go and get the 3 points. Because like I said previously, I'm not looking for prettiness right now. I'm not looking for total 100% domination because we're not going to get that at this moment in time. That's something we got to work towards, and that's going to take time to get there. What I'm looking for, I just want the 3 points. I don't really care how we get them. But we didn't get them today. So, and we didn't get them last week either. So, again, it's not the utmost worst situation because we could have lost both those games and we could have been on a 2-game losing streak, a 2-match losing streak. We're on a 5-game unbeaten. And you could always argue that we should be on a 5-game winning streak, and I would sit in that camp and agree. But this is football. Shit happens. We got to take it as it goes, and the only thing that we could do is rectify it in the next one, which is going to take, you know, 2 weeks to see what we do in that one. So, you know, Lucky says he's glad we're unbeaten. I mean, you know, in this moment, I can't really feel too happy about that because I'm disappointed that because I really felt like we did enough to win, or that we should have gotten over the line. We should have seen it out. And we didn't, but you know, it's a bit of a positivity tick in the box for positivity that at least we're 5 games unbeaten. You know, there again, we could be on a 2-match losing streak. So it's not the end of the world. It's not the worst thing. Access to be serious, they need to show us more and control the game, not let it slip through their fingers. Well, there you go. I appreciate you for making that comment, and I totally 100% agree with you on that, 100%. You know, I don't think anybody in here actually, no matter what we disagree on, I don't think anybody actually disagrees on that. I think everybody totally agrees on that. But me and you look at it from a totally different standpoint. And it's not about, I wouldn't even chalk it down to who's right or wrong. I just think that sort of aspect is going to take more time to iron out. And I think they have to be given the opportunities and the chances to show that they can do that, and actually get there. I am always willing to give the opportunity for them to show us what they got. And maybe you take last season into account a lot more than I'm taking it into account in this season, because I'm looking at this season as different than last season. Because it's just different circumstances. I mean, he's been here, he's got his players in. I think certain aspects in the team has changed, and I think we have improved in certain areas. We need more improvement, 100%. But I just know that it's something that we need to work towards. You know, progress takes, it's a hard road, and it takes a while to get there. It's not instantaneous. I don't believe in making what I see as just demands that are unrealistic. You know, to demand that they instantly figure that out and to demand that like somebody is going to come in here and sort that problem out, I think is totally unrealistic. Nobody has done that. Nobody has gotten us to that point. Nobody will. In the short amount of time that you seem to demand. That's where I thoroughly disagree with you. But when you make a statement like that, I do agree. To be honest, he has had the greatest conditions until now. And I think, again, I will say, I think they've set that up. But how long do you feel that takes to undo the shit conditions that were here for the 10 years prior? Like that's the basis of my whole argument. Like I think he does probably have the best conditions because we actually have a structure and we have a director of football and we're doing better in scouting and we're doing better in player recruitment and we're bringing in better players. I agree, but in the length of the amount of time, if we had shit conditions for 10 years, and you can argue that he has the best conditions we've ever had for a year, maybe a year and a half, 2 tops. How long do you think that it takes for good conditions to redeem and fix 10 years worth of shit conditions? Because I think it takes 3 to 4 years, regardless of who you are. Pep Guardiola, Sir Alex Ferguson, Jurgen Klopp, Arteta, Julian Nagelsmann, Carlo Ancelotti, any of them, I think it takes 3 to 4 years with any of them having good conditions. I don't think there's a quick fix for this. There just cannot be. It's thoroughly impossible when we have been 10 years of mistakes and disasters and shit. So right now we have an opportunity that we can push to have a good season, or it can fail. I'm willing to see this season out. If it ends in failure, it ends in failure, and there's always a decision to be made. His contract it's not like they've given him a contract extension. He'll have 1 year left, and if it ends in a failure, they will sack him and they will move on. If he manages to succeed and fix some of our problems and make us a better team, then he will continue to carry on. I think it's a fair play. I think it's fairly balanced. Merchant says, okay, guys, got to go. Stay safe. Well, thank you for stopping by. Mourinho with this trust would have been competing for UCL by now. Maybe, maybe not. Maybe, maybe not. Mourinho back then? Maybe. But back then, Mourinho being there with that trust, it's totally different. You're talking about like 6-7 years ago. The things that we have gone through, the bad transfers that we have made, the bad decisions that we have made as a football club from that period of time, from when Mourinho was here to now, it's 2 totally different situations. And Mourinho, now, in today's time, Mourinho is absolutely finished. So, Mourinho coming in now and having this trust that Ruben has, he wouldn't get to where he is. He is absolutely done at the highest level. So, it takes 6 months to a year, for crying out loud. No, it doesn't, Axe. No, it doesn't. No, it doesn't. It doesn't take 6 months to a year when we've done 10 years. Do you know what you're saying to yourself? 10 years. 10 years. 10. How do you fix 10 years of mistakes and problems in 6 months to a year? That's totally unrealistic. Totally unrealistic. For what we've done to ourselves, for what we've become. This isn't like some other football club that's been sort of average. How long did it take Arteta to get to Arsenal to where it is? How long has he been in charge there for? How long did it take Sir Alex Ferguson when he came into the club? How long did it take him to actually get to where they needed to go? It didn't take 6 months to a year. Nobody is a miracle worker. You know, even Cristiano Ronaldo said it the other day. What do you expect the guy to do? Work miracles? I think you do. And that's why I wholeheartedly disagree with you, because you seem to think that there's some manager out there who's so brilliant, who's so genius, that they're going to come and work a miracle here. And I'm telling you, it's not going to happen. No matter who you get, it's going to take 3 to 4 years. Now, we're 1 to 2 years into this, so maybe you could chalk it down. If you get somebody else in, you give them 2 years on top of that, because we've made some progress in areas. We've bolstered the team. We've made better signings. But from the point that they came in, and from the point that he's come in, at that moment where we hit that reset button, that's a 3 to 4 year project to get to where we need to get. And that's if we get everything right along the way, and that's if we make the correct progress. But 3 to 4 years at a minimum. We are light years away from competing for EPL. Yeah, I know that. That's why what you demand, you put it all on him. It makes no sense. He's not the, like, it's not only his problem. It's the problem of the football club. It's the problem of the football club as well. We got to get more better players. I mean, but we need to have a good season. We do. We need to continue to build. Lucky. We need to continue to build, and we need to continue to grow, and we need to continue to improve. We can only do that in the window opportunities. We got one coming up in January. Let's see what we do. And then obviously the summer. But we need to have a good season to help us out even more. Listen, I like Nuggets. I really do. I like Julian Nagelsmann. I think he's a great manager. And if it fails with Amorim, I would like to get Julian Nagelsmann. But I'm telling you right now, when Julian Nagelsmann comes in, I don't expect him to do anything special as a miracle worker, and that when he comes in within 6 months, he's going to have us flying high on top. It's just not going to happen. You're totally, totally wrong about that. Totally wrong about that. He's a good manager. I like him very much. He was one of my candidates for this post. He didn't get the job. He's in the international. But I have a manager here right now. We're in the midst of a season, and we still have an opportunity to have a good season. So I'm going to stick by this guy. I'm going to give him the opportunity to prove himself. I'm going to give the players the opportunity to prove themselves this season. And if that opportunity is gone, then it's gone. And then we move from there. And if it's still alive, then it's still alive. And that's how I view the situation. And that's how I'm going to move on. But anyway, thank you guys. I appreciate it. It was a very good discussion. Very good. I appreciate all your opinions and thoughts and comments. Yeah, I will look to see if I come back 8 p.m. UK time. We might just do another show, 45 minutes or so, and we'll look at it that way. Lauren says, I'm happy to wait for Tuchel after he's done with England. Don't madly rate Ruben. Well, listen, it's fine. Again, I'm not saying anybody has to rate Ruben. You don't have to think he's the guy. But I will not stand for just stupid la la land comments. If you make a real comment, if you make a real assessment, it's fine. You don't have to agree with me. But just be real about it, and I can respect it. That's all it is. But I mean, I'm not really sold on Tuchel, but I will tell you this. I mean, if Ruben ends up getting sacked, at that point, I won't even really give a shit who we get as manager. Just, go get somebody in, and we'll see if it works or not. I'm not going to get too fussed over it, because it'll be the 5th, 6th time we'll go on that merry-go-round, and I'm bored of the ride. Yeah, so I'm not going to go on it. But yeah, I mean, if it happens, it happens. Whatever. I have no control over it, and it is what it is. And I think for that to happen, that means that we've gone into a really shit place. So it will probably be deserved if it happens. But after that, whoever they get, I mean, I won't even really care. Go ahead, get whoever you want. Ariola, whoever, Xavi, I don't give a shit. Get whoever you want, and we'll see if it works. I don't expect him to finish on 15th in his first season and then drag his feet against Tottenham. Yeah. Okay. So, I mean, see, you missed the whole misconception of we had a team playing a 4-2-3-1. Ineos and Amorim made the decision to make the game model into what they're making. But I don't think you understand what that is and how that works. So, it's probably why you choose to ignore it. Bringing Amorim in, playing the way he plays, he told us he only plays that way. We agreed to that, and that's what we wanted to do. When you make that change is massive. That change is not a normal change. So to finish in 15th and have the season we had, while it's disgraceful, it's not all that surprising because of the struggles and the situation that we put ourselves in. So they could have monumentally fucked that up, but I don't expect Ruben and Manchester United to finish 15th this season. I don't expect them to finish anywhere near 15th this season because it's a totally different situation. The circumstances are different. He has been here for a year. He's had his preseason, and he has a couple players that he got in. And we look a different team than last season. We're still going to struggle. It's still going to be tough. But I will put it this way. I think if you put Nagelsmann in the same situation, the only thing is Nagelsmann plays a couple different ways because he could play 3 in the back, but he could play 4 in the back. But if Nagelsmann came in and played with the 3 back, like Ruben did in that period, it probably would have went about almost close to the same way because we didn't have the team to do it. But that was the plan they set on. So this is a bad transition in terms of football tactics. Well, maybe it is, but this is the decision they made. And I understand that when you make that change, when you make that transition, understanding what we played, what we were playing, what we had in the team, the formation we played, and then doing this transition, it is a huge transition. It is not a normal transition. You know, like the fact that we're tied on Spurs, and I will put this like this: Spurs, I think Thomas Frank going to Spurs, I think he fits the team exactly. I think the players that they have and the way he plays, the transition is quite smooth and easy. When you do a transition like we just did, it is monumental. Now maybe it was the wrong decision, but that's on the management. I don't blame Ruben Amorim for that. He laid out his plan, they agreed to go with it. Now, we struggled in that initial period, and maybe they got that wrong, but there are improvements being in here in the team, and it could end up working out, but it could fail. But it could end up working out because that's where we are. We are on the fence right now. And it's going to tip one way or the other, probably, unless we just do the whole season sitting on the fence. But yeah, and I take all these things into account. You don't seem to take these things into account. You just want to gloss over them and then demand unrealistic things. So I think I understand quite clearly the transition that we made is a monumental task. It's huge, and there's going to be a bunch of problems in it. Doesn't mean that it's unachievable. Doesn't mean that it can't work. Just means that it's going to be really difficult and it's going to take a while. That's all that means. Lucky says I'm cool, 18 points with Manchester United. I mean, let me look at the table. Let me look at the situation that's going on, because I don't even know what's happening right now. Everton 1-0 against Fulham. West Ham, Burnley 1-1. There's a... Let me see. Let me look at the situation. We're in 7th, 18 points. We played more matches than everybody around us. We're probably going to drop a couple places, but at most 19, 20, 21, 22. 4 points off of second. But still, the table's still going to be quite close. We're going to have to figure it out. I mean, again, it's not the worst situation. We're still in the mix. We failed to capitalize today. We could have put ourselves in a really, really strong position. That's the disappointing part. But I mean, this table is still going to be very, very close. One or two results go our way in terms of us getting a win and the other people around us, dropping some points, and we're right back up there. So compared to if you're talking about what we saw last season, the amount of losses, how we performed, and where we finished to what we're doing now, it's two totally different seasons. So, Lucky says that's where we expect to be, 8th or 7th. I think that's the lowest, Lucky. I will say that. I think that's the lowest that we can afford to finish. I think that's the absolute probably minimum. I don't even necessarily think that that's good enough. But I would say this team, in my opinion, has the opportunity to finish anywhere from 3rd or 4th to 8th. That dictates good season, not that good of a season, but not as bad as last season. So, yeah, I know, Lucky. I know. We cool 18 points. Yeah, I agree, buddy. I agree. It's all right. We're all right. We'll come back after the international break, and we got 3 good fixtures coming up for us. We have to play Everton. We're home. We got to play Crystal Palace, and we got to play West Ham and Wolves. So 3 out of those 4 matches, we should definitely win 100%. We should be getting 9 points out of 12 in those matches. So the fixtures coming a little bit favorable to us, as they should be. And the other teams, they're going to have some hard fixtures. So I think it could easily balance itself out. But we will see. Sanchez here says, what's up? Did I predict the draw? I mean, I said it too. There was always a possibility. I don't think it was in the draw in the way we thought it was going to be a draw. But yes, Sanchi. But unfortunately, I got to get out of here because we've been live enough. So you showed up at the end of the show. Apologize, Sanchi. But I might be back at 8 p.m. UK time. So be on the lookout for a show. I mean, if you want to join our Discord, I got the link lined up in here to join the Discord. So you could get in there. You get the most up to date, the quickest updates in there. So I could update everybody that's interested if we're gonna end up going live. Yeah, so big up. You know what? Real quick, if you wanna throw out your thoughts and comments, like I'll wait for you to give it your opinion on the match, and I'll read it out real quick. If you want to do that. Yeah, so we might be back at 8 p.m. UK time today. I'm going to try. I got to see if I got to take care of some things. If I have the time to do it, I will do it. So just look out for that if you're not in the Discord, because I won't be able to give you an update if you're not in the Discord. If you're in the Discord, you'll get the update and know if we're doing the show or not. The others, you have to just look out for it. And then the plan for that is Sunday, tomorrow, no stream. And then we will be back Monday to cover whatever comes out Monday and Sunday as well. So Sanchi says, no, we'll catch you later. All right, no problem. Just wanted to give you an opportunity, man. But all cool. All right, guys, be good. See you later. And hopefully we'll stream later because I want to do stream. So we'll see. If not, if I don't see you later, I'll see you on Monday. And then everybody have a good weekend. But other than that, take care, stay safe, and enjoy the rest of your days. Weekends, nights, evenings, mornings, wherever you're watching from. Thank you for the support. Thank you for smashing the like button. I really appreciate it. You guys are the best in the world. And we'll speak very, very soon.